takes his knife and guts the deer. Right there. Okay. How many of you believe that story? Why? Because God made him that way. God made men that way. We talked about how men are not connected with their emotions. One of the reasons is so they can kill things. That's just normal for a man. Listen to me. Now, but one of man's greatest needs is companionship. Why did God make him that way? So he'll go back home after he kills the deer. I'm telling you, otherwise he'd be sitting out there in the woods eating the deer thinking, I know I'm forgetting something. So that's his number one need, or one of his needs. That's actually his number one need. We're going to get to point 3, but that's point 1. Here's number 2, sex. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because we are in a weekend service, not a marriage seminar, but I do want you to understand this is not a dirty word. And I know we have young people in our services. I want you to understand, I don't want the only place you ever hear this word to be in a dirty place. I want you to hear it in church. Sex is something God created for men and women to enjoy in the confines of marriage. And this is a need that a man has. This may be the other reason Daniel Boone goes home after he kills the deer. But the point is, I want you to understand, ladies, that as great as your need is for communication, this is a man's need. And I don't know why God did not make these needs the same. I don't understand that. When you interview men, survey men put this as their number 2 need. It's number 2 on the list. Women put it as number 13. Gardening is number 12. But in the same way that a man needs to understand that a woman needs communication, a woman needs to understand that this is a need that a man has. Here's the problem. We hear things through our own needs. For instance, one of a woman's needs, which I didn't cover last week, is non-sexual affection. Women like to be held without it leading to something. That's one of their needs. So when a man says, I need sex, a woman thinks he just needs to be held. No, he doesn't. And when a woman says, I need to be held, a man thinks, she's coming on to me. And who can blame her? That's the way men think. I'm sorry. Here's what a man thinks. She can't resist this. Yes, she can, by the way. But I could not. I almost left this point out because it's a weekend service, but I thought it's too important of a need. Here's the problem. The problem is that this need is not being met. And unfortunately, the world is telling us how to get this need met. And guys, I want to say something to you. I know I'm talking to the ladies, but I want to say something to you. Even though this is a valid need, any way that you meet this in an impure way is invalid. Any way. And Satan will tell you, you're not getting this need met, so you need to meet it another way. And I'm going to say something I've never said. I've been in ministry almost 30 years. I've never made this statement. God showed this to me this last week as I studied this. Listen carefully to me. All sex outside of marriage, listen, leads to death. And I'm going to show you in the Word. I'm going to show you, right? I'm about to show you. All sex outside of the marriage relationship leads to death. Let me read you a couple of scriptures. James 1, 14 and 15. Each one is tempted when he is carried away and enticed by his own lust. Then when lust has conceived, it gives birth to sin. And when sin is accomplished, it brings forth death. Show you another verse. In Proverbs, it talks about a woman going after an immoral woman, a man going after an immoral woman. Here's what it says, Proverbs 7:23. He did not know it would cost his life. This is a legitimate need that men have, but do not meet it, men, in an illegitimate way. By the way, we talk about how men and women are different. Men get in touch with their emotions. Listen, men get in touch with their emotions through sex. Women actually get in touch with sex through their emotions. God made us fit. Let me say it again. Men get in touch with their emotions through sex. Women get in touch with sex through their emotions. All right, here's number 3, honor. The number 3 that I'm covering, but this is actually the number 1 need in a man's life. Turn to Mark chapter 6 now, if you put a marker over there. Mark chapter 6. And I'm going to show you to me one of the most amazing passages in the Bible. Mark chapter 6, verse 1. This is speaking about Jesus. Then he went out from there and came to his own country, and his disciples followed him. And when the Sabbath had come, he began to teach in the synagogue. Now, this is his hometown, in other words. And many hearing him were astonished, saying, "Where did this man get these things? And what wisdom is this which is given to him, that such mighty works are performed by his hands? Is this not the carpenter, the son of Mary, the brother of James, Joseph, and Judas, and Simon? Are not his sisters here with us?" So they were offended at him, or they didn't receive him. But Jesus said to them, "A prophet," this is a very famous saying, but let's watch the whole thing, because most of the time we only quote the first part. "A prophet is not without honor except in his own country." But let's go on, watch this. "Among his own relatives and in his own house. Now he could do no mighty work." This is what's amazing. This is amazing. He could not do a mighty work there, except that he laid his hands on a few sick people and healed them. Now, this doesn't say that he would not. It says he could not. You have to remember, yes, Jesus was fully God, but he was also fully man. And according to Philippians 2, he laid down his divinity. And he walked on this earth as a man. This is very important to understand, by the way, by the power of the Holy Spirit. And in conjunction with the principles that God walks in, he operates through faith. They didn't have faith. Why? Because they didn't honor him. And he couldn't, because they didn't honor him. Now, here's a question I have for you. If dishonor hindered Jesus when he was a man, could dishonor be hindering your husband from doing great things? It's possible that you're living with a potentially great man, but he's not being honored. This is the number 1 need that a man has. A prophet is not without honor except in his own country. We quote that, but it goes on to say, among his relatives, and listen to this, in his own house. In his own house. Now, ladies, please, please, please hear me. I'm going to get kind of serious with you here. Please hear me. A man's number 1 need is honor. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And you say, well, if we're going the wrong way, should I not say anything? Absolutely, you should say something. Absolutely. Absolutely. Every decision in a marriage should be made with the male and female perspective. Every decision should be made in unity. Every decision. But many, many times, a woman says,